Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to Pulaski County Fiscal Court. As is customary, we'd like to open up in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I have asked today, we've got a guest, Officer Patterson is with us from the city of Somerset. I've asked him if he'd be kind enough to open us up today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda then will be the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. You all have received a copy of those. What would be your pleasure there?
Motion to accept.
We've got a motion. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, then in old business, we've got some road additions to the county system. We've had road hearings, we've had committees look at these roads. We need to do those individually. There was no opposition on any of them. Do we do them as a group or just?
I would probably do each district separately.
Okay, well, let's do the ones in First District. You've got Louis Way, Marcus Way, and Meadowview Drive. In the hearing there, like I said, there was no opposition present at the hearings.
Judge, I might add, so we'll make sure we have this in the minutes. There was a question regarding the Meadowview Drive, and it does connect to both property owners, especially the Weddle property, because it was in question. We need to make sure that's in the minutes.
We've got a motion by Mr. Wilden. Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. In the Second District, we've got Harbor Street. Again, there was no opposition present. What would be your pleasure there?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second to accept Harbor Street. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Let's see. The others, I think that's all. And we will need to get a committee to look at Mallard Circle extension. Need a couple of y'all to look at that for us. Basically, they're wanting to extend Mallard Circle to make it a loop to come back out onto the main road, which is Roberts Lane. A couple of y'all would volunteer to look at that for me.
I'll go.
Glenn and
Put me down.
Jason, thank you all. Before we get into our department reports, I just want to make an announcement before I forget. The Christmas parade will be this Saturday, starting at 5 o'clock, and the tree lighting will follow immediately. I guess the parade starts at East Middle and makes the loop down East Mount Vernon around College Street and comes back down Main Street. So that'll start at 5 o'clock. And we want to say a special thanks to Kathy Jesse. She actually donated the Christmas tree you see. It's a beautiful tree, great shape, and she donated that in memory of Bernie Jesse, which was her deceased husband. So we want to thank Miss Jesse for doing that. And let's see, that's the announcements I've got. So we'll move on now to our department reports. Didn't see the sheriff in here, so we'll move on from there. And jailer is not with us. Clyde is with us today. Okay. We've got Linda. Do you have anything for us?
Linda, I'd like to congratulate you on the article I seen in the paper about the audit that was clean for you. That was good. Thank you.
And Stacy, public safety, you got something?
The SRT surplus one of their vehicles at the fire commission meeting the other night. They actually own it, so I just need to get out of the court's name. It's a 05 International 4400 series.
We have a motion to surplus.
Motion surplus?
Second.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Then the second thing I had was a bill pay request. We had been looking over at the shop for an entire truck hood. We found one that the people won't take a purchase order number, so we was gonna see if we could get it in the bill pay for this month. It was $1,200.
Motion to do the PO. Pay it.
Motion second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
That's all I had. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Brings us to our road department. Anybody
Yes.
have anything today?
Judge asked for 100 tons of salt, purchased 100 tons of salt. Hope to say we don't have to use it, but
100 ton, is that correct?
yes.
It's just to top off what
Yeah. that'd be
we've
it.
got,
Yeah.
because we didn't have to use much last year.
Then 300 ton of miscellaneous rock.
Do we have a motion to purchase our salt?
Motion for the raw, or second, or for the salt.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we've got 300,
3,000 tons
3,000 ton,
of miscellaneous rock.
3,000 ton of rock. You have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Wait a minute, we had my motion.
Okay, well, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Then 1,000 foot of miscellaneous tile.
We got a motion to purchase the tile. We have a second?
What does that mean, just different size tiles?
Yeah,
or-
we, our tile provider, Wilson and Roy, they ran out of 18-inch because we had, we run into some problems with additional 18-inch, and so we just want to make sure they have enough on stock just in case we need some more.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
And ask for the road work to be approved.
Got a copy of the road work request there. I don't believe we have any speed limit signs.
I noticed a bunch of stuff here on mine that I don't know anything about. Does the road department just take those calls and go out and do that, or how is that?
Typically, when they call the road department or the office, they'll just say, we've got a problem out here, and then somebody will look at it, and we'll just add it in.
I got one I need to add to mine. In the 3rd District, Good Hope Church Road, shoulder next to a mailbox. And would you add that in, please? I don't know how it got left off.
What was the name, Jimmy?
Good Hope Church Road.
Glenn, was there anything there that, on yours that you,
Well, I just, this Pine Hill Lane, there's three tile there that I don't know anything about or whatever, it's just a matter of me. I like to know where it goes and what's, if I'm gonna sit here and vote that I put them tiles down on that thing, I'd like to know that they're there. Not saying that they're not or whatever, but I just think it's good business that we magistrates know what's,
I'll agree with that. Do we have an address or where, or name where it's going to?
no, don't have nothing.
You want to strike
It
those?
just says Pine Hill Lane.
You want to strike those from your list then?
Where, I don't know exactly where Pine Hill Lane is.
Pine Hill Road, maybe, is it?
Pine Hill Road, now I do. Yeah. These say Pine Hill Lane. It's, I don't wanna make a big deal out of it, but I just, I wanna know, if they're going out in my area and doing stuff, and I'm gonna vote for it and say, yes, I'd like to know that it is done. If we ever have an audit and they come back and they say, well, Mr. Maxey, you voted for it, That's all.
I'd agree.
I'm just asking for information.
I'd agree with you. I don't know with the
Is our road department so busy that those guys can't come to court and explain?
They got a lot going on right now, trying to finish up before the weather turns.
Yeah.
They're working a lot trying to,
Well, I mean, I don't want to strike them if if they've been there or whatever, but if they are there, yeah. I mean, I understand this stuff on Corin Road and stuff, that's where we're doing that work out there, that's fine, I understand that, I know what's going on.
That's Pine Hill Road instead of Pine Hill Lane, you think?
I don't know, you know, I don't know.
Roads in my district.
Oh, is it?
I think Pine Hill Lane's on Pine Hill Road.
There's probably two of them, because there's a Pine Hill out off Piney Grove.
but why don't we just take those off till I can talk to Jordan? We'll find out. We'll just strike those three. How about that? I'll try to get you an answer.
You know, I mean, I hate to do that, but, you know.
That's fair.
Come back to.
I think that's good
I
that
know-
you're doing that, so.
I know whenever we first took office, I took almost $1,200 out of my pocket to pay for something. I don't want to do that no more.
Don't blame you. I'll get you an answer.
Okay.
So let's strike those three from District 4. Everything else all right? We have a motion.
to approve road request?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Uh-oh.
Carries, yeah. Just 911, do you have anything for us today? How about Danny, solid waste?
Just one quick thing here. 109 board recommends Kevin Woods for a part-time position. No salary changes for fiscal court. We'll cover that, and his start date would be on the 30th, this Thursday.
We have a motion to accept Kevin Woods for part-time. Motion. Second. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. Just animal shelter, do you have anything for us today, Adam?
No, sir.
And then our treasurer, Joan, do you have something for us today?
Mark this day down. I don't.
Nothing at all. All right. Okay, that brings us to the next item is citizens' comments. Today we've got with us Carl Skaggs, one of our, he's a man that gives a lot of his time to doing a lot of charity work, and he's wanting to ask the court for something this morning.
Well, some of you may or may not know who I am, and it doesn't matter to me whether you know who I am or not, but it does matter to me if you know what we've been doing for our community for the last 15 years. Over 15 years, we can honestly say we have contributed at least $250,000 to local charities and to our homeless and needy veterans. And for that, I'm very, very proud and very thankful for all the citizens that have been involved, helping me help those people that are in need. And particularly this court. I got involved with the community 15 years ago, April of 2002, when our first project was the old Pulaski schoolhouse. Hundreds, if not thousands of people have enjoyed the use of that facility since we got it opened in January of '03, which nobody thought we could do it that quick. But thanks to, at that time, Darrell Bashir and Ralph Troxel, which was my magistrate, and that was my first involvement with this court. Since then, every member of the court that I've been involved with has been more than helpful and more than supportive. The biggest person in our community that helped me over the years was my new friend in April of 2002 and continued to be until we had to say goodbye to him last year, Ward Carell. Over the years, Ward has supported me and all the projects and shows that we've done to support, and when I say shows, these are charity events. I do not do anything that involves a show unless it benefits a local or a needy charity, and that could be the Veterans Home in outside of Branson, Missouri, which is called Gummy Camp USA. GUMI stands for Glad You Made It. And I've been working with that group for about 4.5 years now. And because of my involvement with that, we started reaching out to other veterans, such as the Hanover Village and Blue Star Mothers and others that we could help. Because I lost a good friend and supporter of Ward, because there's been a lot of changes at the Carnegie Arts Center, where one of the charities I worked with over the years was helping keep the Carnegie building open and maintained. We raised, as jammers and through different shows and events, over $20,000 to repair the lights, the heating, and other, put a new roof on the building over those years. Now, there's a new board there that says they need to raise funds to keep the thing going. My involvement over there, I was on the board for 2.5 years, and every time I did a event there at the Carnegie, besides the charity we did it for, we would always donate a small portion of that to the Carnegie. Might be $100, might be a little more, depending on what the attendance would be like. So, since they have the new board there and the relationship has changed, they now are wanting to charge a daily use fee of $550 if I use the building, or a minimum of $70 an hour. And if I do anything over there, it involves at least 4 or more hours. So if I'm doing a charity event and I bring in 100 to 120 people into that building at $8 to $10 per, and then I have printing expenses and other expenses such as backup musicians, I pay their expenses. They do the charity for nothing, but I try to pay their expenses. If they're coming in, some of them have come in from Tennessee, some in from Lexington, a lot from Renfrew Valley, some even from outside of Kentucky. Nashville, we've had a few folks come in that Grand Ole Opry performers have been here helping us do these local charities. So I've lost that contact with Ward and that support. And because of the changes at the Carnegie and what it would cost for me to continue to do what I do, I don't think I can continue doing that, because I personally, even though I contribute to those shows a little bit financially, but more in my time, for every hour that people spend on that stage, I probably put 40 hours in getting them there and getting ready for that show. So it's something I love to do, it's something I enjoy doing, something I'm proud to do for the best community I've ever lived in my entire life, which is now 77 years. And I've retired from this fundraising job 3 or 4 times over the last 4 or 5 years. But every time I do, somebody says, well, who's going to keep doing what you do, Carl, if you don't do it? I didn't have an answer for that because nobody would step forward. And as you know, if you're involved with charity work, it's a lot easier for somebody to reach in their pocket and hand you $10 or even $50 than say, yeah, I'll do that job. I'll take 40 hours out of my month and do that job and help you do that, or take it over for you, Carl. Well, that hasn't happened, and it's probably not going to happen. My background and my experience in sales marketing and sales promotion has contributed to what I'm able to do here with now in show business, so to speak, by providing great entertainment for low cost to the community, as well as taking the funds that we charged for that entertainment and give it back to the community in the form of a half a dozen or more local charities, which include AIM and the Blue Star Mothers, Hanover Village, the Carnegie, PERM, other charities that we have helped. God's Helping Hand, God's Food Pantry have been a big beneficiary. In fact, this month we're going to, in addition to what we did last month for the veterans, which was we raised $1,500 on Veterans Day for the homeless and needy veterans.
Excuse me.
Now
Carl,
we have enough money left over, and we'll have.
Can I ask you one? I didn't say this beforehand. I apologize. We try to keep these in
Oh,
3 minutes. or
well, I'm
less.
sorry for
If
taking
you'll get-
too much
If
of
you'll
your
get to
time.
what you need.
I'm here to ask for your help to continue doing what I do. If the county can help sponsor future events for next year, I would be very appreciative of that, whatever financial benefit you can do for us. Thank you.
Do you have a specific amount that you're? Do you have a specific amount that you're asking the court to help you with, or
Well, anything less than $1 million would be greedy, so I'd settle for $1,000. That would allow me to put on 3 shows next year.
I'll make a motion that we help him out with $1,000.
Question, is the money going to the group, or is the money going to the Carnegie Center, or
I'm
where's
sorry.
the money going?
if we give you $1,000, would it go to
To
your
finance,
expenses?
to finance the shows that we put on at the Carnegie Building or the Center for Rural Development, to pay the basic expenses, or at least part of it. It costs anywhere from $300 to $500 every time I put on
So
a
would a check be
benefits show.
made, would a check be made to the Carnegie Center, or would it be, how would we pay
I
that?
haven't talked to the Carnegie Center about that yet, but that is a possibility, or it could be made to Cumberland Productions, which is the company that I have set up at my local bank to deal with funds coming in and going out to local charities.
You
Either
have
way,
you have a
whatever-
company set up
Whatever
for
would be
this?
appropriate is okay with me.
You do have a company set up for this?
I'm sorry.
You have a company set up to receive?
I have what I call Cumberland Productions, which is a one-man volunteer group, which is me.
But
But that is what, we deal with the charities through that.
Carl, is yours a nonprofit?
yeah, that's a question.
I do not have a 501c account, if that's what you're
Yeah, I don't
asking.
think we could make a check to you or to,
Well, that's
unless
what
it's
I'm saying.
nonprofit.
However we could work it out would be appreciative and agreeable to me in any way at all.
We could get some sort of invoice from Carnegie maybe for what they charge for these shows.
Well, that and
We just pay each time he's gonna have a show, we pay
that
the
would
Carnegie Center.
probably be the best deal and like paid to the Carnegie or the Rural Development Center. But are you talking about the calendar year of 18 or are you, because
I'll be talking about the calendar year, but it could be any
It would have to-
specific amount of time, it wouldn't matter.
the problem we have is the fund that we use is basically strapped and tied up until July.
Okay. Well, I have 2 shows that I've tentatively scheduled for potentially at the Carnegie, if I can get some help with doing it. One will be probably in April and one will be in May. So I don't know how that works out. I do know that I've discussed the same thing with Mayor Girdler, and he's looking into seeing what he can do to work with me through the Carnegie also. So,
Can't we just agree to pay up to $1,000 to the Carnegie Center for him to have shows?
yeah, if it went to the Carnegie, I could get
This
a
fiscal year?
agreement with them to take those funds and earmark it
April or
for
May?
the use of the building when we use it,
Hate you all.
something like that.
Would Pulaski County government be a co-sponsor of these
You would be a sponsor, yes, and that would entail whatever we could do back. We could certainly give you the credit for being a sponsor for that particular event and invite everyone to be our guest at that particular event.
I would
the
suggest
court or
what the
whatever.
court could do would be to vote to.
I know you've bought tickets
I
and
have,
everybody here,
yep.
not everybody, but a lot of people here bought tickets and helped us do that. So we could in
Of course.
turn give tickets back to the
The
community. that
difference
way.
in municipal government and county government is Mayor Girdler has some discretionary funds that he can use where the county judge doesn't have those funds.
Yeah.
So everything the county spends money on is supposed to be serve a public purpose. And so if the court feels like that your events would serve a public purpose and they wanted to co-sponsor those, my suggestion would be that the court vote to allocate a certain sum of money and then leave it to the discretion of the judge to pay that money out based on what Carl presents to him, regard to what the show is going to be, the content of the show, but authorize up to $1,000 a year. $1,000 for the upcoming fiscal year, or however you want to do it. But I think that'd be,
Well, and if he's just gonna have a couple shows maybe before the
the new fiscal year for us, then, you know, he may not need the full 1,000 until.
Yeah,
That's
we
why you
could
could do it for up to.
We could earmark the funds to go to the Carnegie for the use of the Cumberland Productions events and/or whatever time we needed the building, rather than my taking money from the fundraiser that we're doing and using that money to use the building. We could take that money and give it to that charity. That's all I'm saying.
My concern is that it's public money being spent for this project or these projects, so I think there needs to be some assurance, not that I'm saying, I'm not questioning your motives, but I think there needs to be a tracking of where the money goes and make sure that it does go to an event that serves a public purpose.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's my thought, and I think.
We would earmark whatever charity was, we may do one for God's Helping Hand, which,
Yeah.
right now, we're also gonna do one this December for God's Helping Hand.
The difference
But-
in Mr. Carell, who obviously helped a whole lot of organizations and people in this county, his was private money. So it was his money, so he could give it out to whoever he wanted to, however he wanted to. And he did a whole lot of that for this community. These guys are dealing with public tax dollars, so they have to.
I'm not
be-
even sure, how this would work, but if it's a possibility, that's why I came here this morning to say, I'd like to continue, I'm willing to continue doing what I can for our community, but I could use a little help, that's all, in whatever form it comes. Okay, thank you.
I would also suggest, and of course, I'm not a lawyer, so you'll have to stop me if I misstep. I would suggest that when Mr. Skaggs does this, that if the court votes on a certain amount or up to X amount of dollars, that, excuse me, it not be a lump sum, but when Mr. Skaggs has an event coming up, that he send us a request for X number of dollars to go to the Carnegie Center for, let's just say, God's Helping Hands event, and do it that way. That way, we have an audit trail.
That's why I suggested that if the court approves an amount, run it through your all's
Channel.
discretion upon his presentation, event by event, not a lump
Right.
sum, but per event, so you all can decide.
And I don't want it to be up to be in my hands, on my shoulders. I think that if Mr. Skaggs sends us like a request, I could bring it to court and say, we have this request, and that way it can also be it could be the court's decision.
That's what I was gonna say. Would it be easier for him to do each time?
Yes, I think so. As long as we vote on a certain amount, and if it goes over that amount, then
Yeah, we'll
back to the
vote on it
drawing
Not to
board
exceed
as such.
$1,000.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine. I agree, I think it should be an event by event.
Yeah. Just not to exceed
proposal,
$1,000.
yeah. As long as y'all find it's a public purpose.
So do we need a motion today and then, or just wait until that time arises?
I mean, if we're gonna do it event by event, I know it's
Yeah, that's what I said.
difficult for Carl to come back every time, but that would be, I think, the best thing. And then he can come and say, this is the event we're having, I need
You need X amount of dollars.
X amount of dollars, and it's going to this charity.
So
And
Carl,
if he
then-
doesn't, if he's in the middle of it, if he just sends in a request, and I know Mr. Skaggs and I've worked together when he's made requests for Fiscal before, so he knows the drill of sending in a request, and then
You don't have to be here.
he
for it.
doesn't have to be
I mean,
here. I
this-
mean, I could present it, the judge, anybody, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Presented every time, can't we just agree to spend up to $1,000 and you
If
guys
you want to make
take
a
care
motion
of it?
today, we can
Well,
just
the
do
only
that, and
thing
then we
is
can-
if it's,
Who's gonna decide when to give him that and for what
right,
events?
what if it's not something
Give
that,
it to him until his $1,000 gone, and don't give him no more. I can decide that. I mean, that's it.
If y'all want to leave that to my discretion, you can make a motion today. If not, we
Yeah,
can have
if
him
you
come
wanna-
back and
I mean,
ask
that-
each time he does it.
Well, I mean, he's willing to donate his time and everything to this. Yeah.
I just thought y'all might want to pick it.
I'm just trying to keep you out of the auditor's eyes and keep everything
Well, the thing is, I'll still have to have a request when he needs it.
Yeah. So, Carl, you could just mail in a request when you need it, up to $1,000?
Whatever the way works best for the court is.
Well, just me personally, I hate to make you come in.
Well, he wouldn't have to.
Right, okay.
I don't mind, I know usually a little ways out in front, but sometimes we have an event that needs to happen right now. There's a need that's an immediate need, and sometimes I'll throw something together in a couple of days and it's off and running.
Well, you have our support, just let us know when.
So I'll take a vote.
You gonna take a vote?
You have to take a vote.
If y'all wanna make that motion, we'll
He done made a motion.
Made a motion not to exceed
approve up to
$1,000.
$1,000, and do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carl, we certainly do appreciate your spirit and your heart for people and for what you do. It's not, you're right, not many people will take that torch and run with it, so thank you for what you do. All right, no further business, we take a motion to adjourn.
I've got some business that Jordan Harris asked me to present, ask you to present to the court, was to raise, what's his name, Jason? Danny Mounts, up to operator's pay, and Brian Strunk. Brian, right now, is a laborer, and he's running the 6th tractor all over in all the districts, and they want to bring him up from laborer's pay to operator's pay.
So Brian Strunk and Danny Mounts to operators?
Is that right, Jason? Is that what he?
Yeah, that was what.
Danny
what Jordan
Mounts
had
at
mentioned.
6 months is up.
Yeah, his training period's over.
So then we'd entertain a motion to take those to operators pay.
Motion.
Second? Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
No.
Any opposed?
That will be the first step of operator's pay, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. They're
Yep.
working through the.
Step 1, Alicia. Thank you.
Brian Strunk, but now Danny Mounts is already an operator, correct?
No, he's not getting operator's pay.
Okay. Okay.
But yes, he is
does
an
have
operator.
Brandon.
He's just not getting paid for it, and so is Brian.
Okay, well, thank you. Take a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, any opposed?
Do it.
Thank you all.